kiddos. This is Miss Lewis. I am excited to be here this week and to be talking about our story, Flowers for Sarajevo. This is a historical text, which means the events and locations in the story are real, but the characters may be invented or reimagined to add a little bit more depth and engagement to the story. Our focus today is going to be the illustrations or the pictures that are in Flowers for Sarajevo and how they add additional meaning to our story. So as we're rereading it today, make sure you're looking at those pictures and really considering what the illustrator or the person who made the picture wants us to know from that picture. Our learning goal today is I can use illustrations to gain a deeper understanding of the text. Remember, illustrations are the images or pictures that are located next to the text in a story. Oftentimes, authors will use an illustrator, a person who draws the pictures or creates the images, to add pictures into the story that add another layer of understanding for us, the readers. Let's go ahead and take a look at some examples. Before going over some of the images in the text, pop on over to the video from Monday with Mrs. Tyndall for a refresher of the story. Analyzing text illustrations gives readers a deeper understanding into the text. A few different ways we can analyze illustrations is to think about what we're seeing in the picture, think about what is actually happening in the picture, observing the colors and what they mean. Brighter colors are going to mean something different than, say, darker colors. Does the illustrator seem to be focusing on anything in particular? And finally, what do you think the illustrator wants us to understand from the picture or the image in front of us? Now that we've gone over the different ways that we can analyze an image in a text, let's go ahead and look at some images from the text themselves. Okay, so let's look at this picture on our screen of Milo and Driscoll. So, I'm going to ask you guys right now to pause after each question just to consider what I'm asking. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to it. So the frame and illustration, what do we see in the illustration? Go ahead and pause while you consider. Great job. I can see all the spices and brightly colored flowers in the market. There are people to show that there's a lot of people that go to this market. And there's also Driscoll and his father surrounded by all of the stuff that they're selling. Now let's think about what could be happening in this text. Go ahead and pause and think about that for a second. Yes, Driscoll and his father are at the market selling flowers. That is their family business. Okay, great, guys. So let's observe colors now. When we look at the colors, the flowers are very bright. The colors that Driscoll and his father Milo are wearing are also very vibrant, as opposed to the people behind them that have a more muted color. It also brings us to that second or that third or fourth question right there. What is the author or illustrator focusing on? And by showing that color, let me go back to it. By showing that color contrast, it's showing us that we are focusing right now on these flowers as well as Milo and his father. So once we collect all of the information, we can try to understand what the illustrator wants us to know. Based off what we saw, the bright colors, the smiles on Driscoll and his father's face, seeing Milo hand off a flower to a neighbor, I can determine that the illustrator wants me to know that Drasko and Milo are from a close family that spread happiness to their community through their flower business. When we look at the full picture, we notice that there's this man selling spices next to Brasco's family. Do you guys notice any differences between Drasco and Milo and the man next to them? Pause your video to consider. So the first thing we notice is the illustrator does want us to focus on the man because he has darker, brighter colors than the people behind that are kind of have that like that ghostly color. And we also notice that they're dressed in grays and blues, which typically signal like a kind of like sadness, a kind of frustration. Um, and we also notice that they don't have the same smiles that Drasco and Milo have in this picture. They've got kind of very somber looking things. So, why would the illustrator do that? Why would there be a difference between these two families? Pause to consider. You're right. The author could be showing us that the passion of Brasco's family for their community, while some of their other neighbors maybe have worked too long and too hard to have that same outlook now. When we look at the full picture, we notice that there's this man selling spices next to Brasco's family. Do you guys notice any differences between Drasco and Milo and the man next to them? Pause your video to consider. So the first thing we notice is the illustrator does want us to focus on the man because he has darker, brighter colors than the people behind that are kind of have that like that ghostly color. And we also notice that they're dressed in grays and blues, which typically signal like a kind of like sadness, a kind of frustration. Um, and we also notice that they don't have the same smiles that Drasco and Milo have in this picture. They've got kind of very somber looking things. So, why would the illustrator do that? Why would there be a difference between these two families? Pause to consider. You're right. The author could be showing us that the passion of Brasco's family for their community, while some of their other neighbors maybe have worked too long and too hard to have that same outlook now. Okay, now it's your guys' turn to try something on your own. When you look at the difference between the market at the beginning, here's the beginning, and after the explosion, what do you notice? Why do you think the author made the colors brown and gray and the town empty? Discuss below in the comments and maybe I'll comment back. If you do not have that capability, go ahead and just discuss with a parent or sibling around you. Great job today. Before we go, here's a writing activity. We look forward to hearing your answers. You can tell them to us during office hours or you could comment your writing response below. In our story, Flowers of Sarajevo, Drasko and his father use flowers to help bring their community together. What is something that brings your community together? It can be a symbol, a festival, restaurant, fundraising activity, religious celebration, or something completely unique to your community. Before coming to Nashville, I taught in a small city outside of Bakersfield, California called Taft. My first year teaching there was an OILDORADO year. OILDORADO is only celebrated every 5 years, so it was very special. The oil rig right here is a big symbol that you see around Kern County, and it is something that we use to decorate a lot around our restaurants, homes, etc. OILDORADO celebrates the men, women, and children who migrated to the San Joaquin Valley in search of black gold, which is oil. Oil from the San Joaquin Valley contributes $12.5 billion to California's economy, and many people living in Taft depend on jobs from the oil refineries surrounding the city. So it's very important, and it's something that brings the Taft community together every 5 years. So here is the writing activity again. I would pause your guys' video while you work on that. Have a great day. Hey, so that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you for following along. One more time, and I will keep saying it to the rest of the year. We miss you guys, and we hope to see you all again. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye. Reminder, we will have a math video tomorrow and ELA/Fun Art Activity Friday.